Hello and welcome to the first CIMAC Town Hall about our IMO activities. I see we do have lots of people already being in the room. I see 14 at the moment. We'll be aiming for, let's say, plus 80 or so. We have 100 people registered for the event today, so we will give ourselves a few more minutes until most of the people have found their access to this town hall meeting. And yeah, to cover those minutes in the beginning, I would like to start with an advertisement block right here. And for that, I will be sharing my screen. So now you should be seeing the website of the CIMAC Congress. I assume that most of the people attending this event here today are aware of the CIMAC Congress, which is going to take place actually next week in Zurich. There's still some spots open and tickets open. So if for people who are able to decide on short notice or spontaneously, or also for people who are living close by to Zurich or in Zurich, you're always able to still buy a ticket for the Congress this week. And also if you come to the Congress actually on the day, you can also buy a ticket on the day. CIMAC Congress is taking place every 3 years due to COVID. The last Congress was 2 years ago. If you want to see some further information about the Congress in 2023, you will find some impressions on the website where you can also see some pictures and also a very nice video about the last Congress in Busan in South Korea. If you're interested in seeing what's happening in the Congress next week, there's a very detailed program in place. The majority or the main part of the Congress is actually the technical program, which is taking place 4 days from Monday till Thursday. You will find the technical program on this website here, and you can download it. There's 3 parallel rooms taking place of the program. So 4 days, 3 parallel rooms with different topics and different presentations, which is very, it's a very large program with lots of details around the large engine and propulsion industry. Besides the technical program, we will also find technical tours, which are taking place on the Friday of next week. There's 3 different options, and there's still possibilities to actually book a ticket for one of those tours. There's 3 tours in place, visiting a few different Swiss companies who are active in the CIMAC industry. And there's also some optional tours if you want to bring an accompanying person, which is not professional working in industry but still wants to come to Zurich. There's lots of things taking place in parallel as well, like Zurich City Tour and Lindt Chocolate Museums and these kind of things. And there are always social events taking place at the evening of the Congress. Monday evening, opening ceremony. Tuesday evening, there will be the accelerant night, and then Thursday there will be an end of the Congress, like a dinner reception on Thursday night. Sponsoring. There's lots of sponsors in place. If you want to have a look at who's sponsoring the Congress, famous companies are in place. It's a long list actually. Accelerant, Weichai, Bosch, Woodward, and lots of bronze sponsors and other sponsors as well. Lots of sponsors for the Congress who are being present at the Congress itself with presentations. But also, if you look at the exhibition program, you will find, besides the technical program, you will also find a larger exhibition of many companies you are very much aware of, and you can visit them at their fair booth. You see the full list of exhibition booth is actually booked. So we have 100% booking of the available booth. So we will have a full exhibition there, which is very nice, and we are expecting lots of visitors also for the exhibition as well. If you look for buying a ticket, you can go here on registration, follow the link on registration. There are several options. Of course, the preferred option is to book for the full week, for the full 4 days. If you're a CIMAC member, you have a price. For non-members, it will be a higher price. If you're looking for just a 1-day attendance in the Congress, there's also the option for the Congress 1-day ticket. And there's always the option to visit only the exhibition, or if it's for 1 day for 60 euros, or if it's for a full week, 4 day, 240 euros. So many different options are in place. So if you would like to, please follow the web link cimaccongress.com, and you will find all the information there. So I think that said, we covered the first 4 minutes with the advertisement block. We have around about 50 people in the event right now. So I would like to start with the actual agenda of this of today's event. And as you all are aware, we will be talking about the CIMAC IMO activities. And yeah, we're starting with a welcome address from our CIMAC president, Rick Boom. So Rick Boom, please, I give you the floor.
Thank you, Daniel. Yeah, dear CIMAC members, supporters, welcome everybody to this first CIMAC town hall meeting on IMO. As said, my name is Rick Boom. I'm the CIMAC president. I'm employed by Woodward and have a plus 20 years kind of career within CIMAC and the working groups myself, and the last couple of years in the board. As CIMAC, we are operating in a fast changing and a highly dynamic landscape. I think that is a fair statement. Not to say that our past has been boring and dull. However, things are moving very fast these days. Topics like decarbonization and digitalization are very relevant and maybe even dominant in our industry these days. As CIMAC, as a strategy, a couple of years ago already, we identified, or we wanted to address the question, how do we keep CIMAC relevant in our industry? As part of the fast changing, you have to adapt yourself to the new reality and continue to change to remain relevant. And for as long as CIMAC exists, we have been structured around working groups. These working groups are and have been the backbone of our organization, discussing technical topics in a pre-competitive phase that has drove our organization, and that is still the case. We discuss topics, we release technical papers, position statements, etc. However, we also identified a need, another step or another layer beyond the working group structure, because we feared that with the working group structure alone, we were not able to effectively address our activities and also share our knowledge. So to secure that relevance, we started the strategy group structure, and we have a strategy group on greenhouse gases and digitalization. And this was to increase our connectivity or connections in the industry with other parties and other stakeholders. So not just a technical topic, but also work on how are we being networked in our strategy. As part of our working group activities and also the feedback from some time ago, there was definitely a need identified by the working group members from different areas, from different technologies or topics, that a closer connection or a more formal connection with IMO would become very apparent and needed to make ourselves more effective, and also to enable the working groups to be more effective, because a lot of time is spent by the working group members, and as said, that's the backbone, and how to make that knowledge available to our global industry, market, global society. So we started approximately 2 years ago to apply for the NGO status at IMO. We made the decision that we wanted to go for that, and we basically followed the IMO application process, which is a pretty thorough process with a lot of interviews and a lot of documents, but that's all water under the bridge, because we have been granted the NGO status, because CIMAC has been recognized as a real true global organization with a technical background, not a lobby club. So that is something that IMO identified as a very welcome addition to their large number of NGOs. And so since sometimes we are involved in IMO activities at IMO, and this town hall meeting is to update and brief you on the activities there. I won't go further into the detail. I want to leave that up to Eero and Leo later on. But from here, I want to thank you for your presence here. Wish you a good, informative, and interesting meeting. And yeah, I hereby want to hand it over to the organizers. So back to Daniel or directly to Eero. So thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Rick. Yes, we can go directly to Eero Letovara, Vice President Digitalization in the CIMAC board, and also the accredited representative of CIMAC towards the IMO. And Eero will give us some insights into his work or our work at IMO, please.
Thank you, Daniel, and thank you, Rick. As said, Eero Letovara is my name. My day job is with ABB Marine, but since we became members, our NGO in IMO, to a little bit elaborate also on the terminology, there's 4 people from CIMAC that are registered as the key contacts towards IMO. So Rick Boom as a president is quite clear. Also Peter Müller-Baum as the Secretary General. And then we have 2 additional names in the official register, myself as the accredited representative, meaning that within the CIMAC organization, it's the relationship between CIMAC and IMO falls into my area. And then we have Daniel Erdmann as the web account administrator, which is a position that kind of defines as the gatekeeper on who is attending and who is working with IMO. And then we have obviously Leo, who will present more about, tell more about himself, who's the one that actually works with IMO with the daily grind, so to say. Working with IMO and a little bit continuing as what Rick was saying earlier, the key going forward is really the work that we do in our working groups. It continues to be the key function of the association, but also the strategy groups. And the way to work with IMO is really to participate in the work in the meetings, and the committee meetings, the correspondence groups, the intersessional working groups, and so forth. What we can do on top of bringing our expertise to the table at IMO is to participate or produce submissions and INF papers. Submissions are usually specific papers that are connected to a specific agenda topic in one of the committee meetings, and INF papers are more generic and can be filed and also included in the IMO library and referred to afterwards. Those are, I would say, the key tools working with IMO, and the content onto these specific papers would come from the work that we do in the working group. What is interesting and what is important for our industry? What are the key topics that we want to bring forward? And there to work together on coming up with the text and the contents of these. Now, when we are publishing or we're putting forward something in IMO, obviously we as a single NGO, we have some weight into what we are saying, but generally talking, you would say that doing that together with partnering up with other NGOs, but also member states, is way more, has way more weight. So far, Leo and myself have been attending quite a lot of the IMO activities, and then one key topic that we've been working on has been creating relationships with other NGOs, tell us about ourselves, and figure out where do we have common interest, where we could do something together. We also have identified a few member states that are keen on working together with us on specific technology topics, and then we are having these discussions with member states also. Maybe at this stage also I would repeat and emphasize that we don't do politics. So we are not really participating in any political discussions. We are bringing forward technology competence and technology issues, either commenting on technology initiatives that somebody else has been taking up, or coming, as said earlier, with our own propositions on things, how to go forward. Also asking all of you to come up with any already existing connections within IMO. If you are a member in other NGOs, or if you work with other NGOs that could have the same interests as we do, please let Daniel and Leo know, and we would like to foster these connections forward. We are so far quite well connected and quite a lot discussing with Ajax. We are talking to the Nautical Institute. We are talking to IMO. We have quite extensive discussions with Euromot, and then we are looking at other NGOs that could join us in some of the topics that we are working with. So that was kind of the short background on what we are doing, how we are doing. And now I think that it's more Daniel and Leo to go more into the detail on how we are working and how you can contribute to the work. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Eero. Thank you both for this welcome address and for this insights you were giving from the basically from the board perspective and from the overall strategies. I would like to start with a short introduction into the previous works we did at IMO. Ripu mentioned that we got granted access last summer, and I would like to give a short insight from there, what we have achieved since last summer. But I have the feeling at the moment you're not seeing what you should be seeing. And give me one more second, please. So now you should be seeing my PowerPoint presentation. So for today's CIMAC Town Hall, CIMAC's engagement with the IMO, shaping the future of the maritime industry. Somehow it's disappearing. Yeah, just a short reminder about our compliance program. This is not an actual working group meeting today or such, but I still found it interesting or relevant to mention the compliance program. As we, at the end of the meeting, we will be having a Q&A session where all of you will have the chance to type in questions into the chat, and there might be coming up a discussion. We are basically here for discussing our IMO works and not here for any competition discussions and prices and market developments. So just for documentation reasons, I introduced that as well. What I actually wanted to present is what we did in the first half year of CIMAC at IMO. As mentioned before, in July last year, the consultative status was granted towards CIMAC. There's still a final approval needed, which is taking place in this year's IMO assembly, which is going to take place late in autumn this year. But yeah, there's nothing to worry about. We are sure that this will be also coming with a positive outcome. And after that, there were several events and meetings where we participate. We were, for example, invited to the IMO headquarters in London for more or less like an onboarding meeting where we got explained how all the processes work and how we as an NGO can contribute to the IMO works. 3 or 4 times a year, the Secretary General of IMO gives a briefing towards the NGOs. There's one briefing for the member states and one for the NGOs, where we obviously attended last year and will be attending in the future as well. Regarding World Maritime Day, there was a reception taking place in the IMO premises where we also represented CIMAC. And then with the MEPC taking place last September, October, that's where was the first time where we actually actively participated in such committee meetings. We had 2 delegates representing CIMAC there, more or less only observing the ongoing discussions and reporting back to the CIMAC community. In October, there was the meeting of the so-called expert group on data harmonization, where we also attended and observed the ongoing discussions. In October, we had the chance to meet up with the Low Carbon Global Industry Alliance, which is also firmly linked with the IMO. There we had the chance to introduce CIMAC to the members of that alliance, and from that meeting there are coming other initiatives and activities which will be presented by Leo later on. Once a year, the IMO offers the so-called IMO seminar for new delegates in London, and online participation is possible. We also participated there, which is basically a 2-day seminar where everybody who's new to the IMO world can learn how to engage with the IMO and where to find all the information and all this and that. So it's basically like a training for the new job. And then in December, we attended the Maritime Safety Committee meeting. And basically what we've done so far in the second half year of last year, we attended meetings and observed the discussions. But from here, then with this year's January, actually, we were able to onboard Leo Budicin as being the IMO coordinator for CIMAC. And I would like to give over the presentation to Leo now and get him to present all the things we are doing since January, or basically what he is steering at the moment. And so this will be the majority of today's presentation. During the registration process to this event, you were able to ask questions or highlight topics you wanted to be discussed. We went through all those comments and made sure that we covered all these questions and topics into our presentation. Anyways, there will still some time be at the end of this town hall where we can offer you the opportunity to ask questions, and then we will be taking these questions and answering them as good as possible. But for now, for the next half an hour or so, CIMAC at IMO will be presented by Leo. So Leo, please go ahead.
Yeah, thank you, Daniel. And thank you everyone for joining our first town hall meeting today. Thanks also to our president Rick Boom and to Aero for their introduction. Well, first of all, let me introduce once again also myself. My name is Leo Budicin. I am as Daniel said, the IMO coordinator for CIMAC. I started with CIMAC, so within the CIMAC Secretariat at the beginning of this year, of 2025, and so diving deeply into the IMO world. So as has been already anticipated, I will go through the activities that we have done so far at the IMO, at least in this first half of the year. What is planned until the summer break, and how do we structure and how do we want to structure in the future our work in London. So as you all know, we have gotten consultative status in 2024, but we started to intensify our activities at the beginning of this year. So with the first slide, well, I imagine that you are all aware with the IMO committees, but I wanted just to give you an introduction, a little bit of or an overview of the committees that we are following. I have marked in green the ones that we have already attended, and the yellow, for the moment, MSC, the one that is coming. So from the main committees, we have followed the Facilitation Committee, the Marine Environmental Protection Committee, MEPC, and the one that is coming next month in July is the MSC 110. While for the subcommittees, we have been engaged in the ship and design, the construction subcommittee, the ship systems and equipment, and the human element training and watch keeping. But I will go now. I think there is a problem with screen. Okay, now should be okay. Sorry for that. Go more into details with our activity in each of those. Daniel, may I just ask you if you see if everything is okay with my presentation or there is some disturbance.
So I still see the overview where you highlighted the green and yellow.
Yeah.
So
Okay,
that's
because
what we see.
messages, but it works. Okay. So the
Mhm.
first meeting that we have attended this year is the ship design and construction subcommittee. And we have been particularly focused during the session in the experience building phase for the reduction of underwater radiated noise. It is a topic that we have spotted that there is a big interest among our members, that we have knowledge and skills to contribute to that, and that it is something also the IMO is asking for technical experience and knowledge. So maybe the most relevant outcome for us was the establishment of the underwater of the correspondence group on underwater radiated noise. So for the one among you that are maybe not fully familiar with what a correspondence group is, it is basically a working group that does all its work remotely. It works intersessionally, so from one session of the committee to the other, meaning that the group has been established during SDC 11 this year in January and will report back to the committee in January 2026. So the objective of this working group, or what it wants to provide, it is an experience building phase framework to assess the progress made on the application and uptake of the revised URN action plan and guidelines, a list of emissions studies with the evaluation of the correspondence group on gaps and opportunities in order to commission a further IMO work on that topic where gaps have been found. And lastly, the next step to advance the URN action plan technical objectives. The work is structured into rounds. There are 3 rounds of activities. The first one is already closed. We are now in the second one, and we will be submitting our input probably already by the end of this month. And just a last point on that topic, that giving the interest also within our membership, we have lately established, so we have a new working group within CIMAC, working group 22, dedicated to underwater noise, that will be, of course, the one following closely this topic. Moving forward, in February, we have shifted our attention, if I can say so, within the human element training and watchkeeping subcommittee to the topic of the guidelines for handling of alternative fuels and new technology. So during the committee meeting, in a parallel working group that took place, generic interim guidelines on training that can be applied to all fuels and the technologies have been drafted, and those guidelines should be adopted with a circular letter in June, while fuel and technology specific interim guidelines have been left to the work of a correspondence group that has been tasked to develop them further into detail. But in this occasion, we wanted to go a step further, as we know the importance of training, and I could also say the lack of training for seafarers at the moment on board on vessels. So we have established a collaboration with the Global Industry Alliance, which is a public-private partnership that works on energy efficiency within the IMO, as well as with the HTW team of IMO and the Just Transition Maritime Task Force. So we have joined forces in order to develop a training module for seafarer on board. There will be a general framework that will be provided, but what will be our role in this initiative is to fill that framework with content. We are already gathering inputs from our members that have experience, that have the knowledge in this area, in order to be able to create such content from a really technical point of view, and that will be the CIMAC in-kind contribution to that initiative. We will definitely come back to you as soon as we have more information about it, and as soon as it starts with the real development of the training materials. Always in February, we attended the SSC 11, which is the Ship Systems and Equipment Subcommittee. It was another important engagement for us, as it represented also the first ever CIMAC intervention in plenary. And the intervention was related to the topic of the single electric propulsion motors, and in particular, we wanted to react or to give our opinion on the IAC's unified interpretation of single essential propulsion components and their reliability. As this is a topic that is of particular importance to our working group 21, working group on propulsion, we have coordinated with them and with, of course, with their expertise, how to do so, because we wanted to highlight the importance of regulatory certainty. And the topic of single electric propulsion motors has been already discussed in MSC 09 last year. And it has been agreed that it will apply only to passenger ships for the time being, and it won't be discussed again, at least for the moment. Nevertheless, there was this paper that was submitted by IACS, having their proposing unified interpretations that would cover also cargo ships. From our perspective, this was something we didn't agree. We wanted to be heard on that, so we brought up in plenary and echoed the concerns of the industry and the inputs that we got from the industry. We have been backed also by some other NGOs and flag states in plenary. So if I could go slightly back to what Eero has said before, every time that we are in London, that we participate in meeting, aside from the pure content of the session that we are following, we are also on a parallel track, also building alliances, building cooperation, because we have seen that, and this is quite obvious, that in order to be successful when you submit papers or you have intervention during committee meetings, that there is the need for support from other organizations, NGOs, intergovernmental organizations, but also flag states. So this is really something we are working on, and we see our presence at IMO as something that is collaborative. We want to cooperate rather than compete. In March, moving forward, we were there, me and Eero, for the facilitation committee. And there, our main focus was the development of a comprehensive strategy on maritime digitalization. The digital transformation of the maritime sector is one of our top priorities. And And of course, we have also our digitalization strategy group that has a lot of knowledge in that, a lot of experience. We have also drafted a paper on enabling the implementation of a ship-wide data ecosystem that in the near future we want to also to submit. We will see how at IMO, in which form and in which committee. So there is a big knowledge from our side that we want to contribute within IMO. And what was important, what has been decided at that session, was that a correspondence group, so another one on the IMO strategy on maritime digitalization, has been established. We have decided, of course, to join it, to contribute with our knowledge. The correspondence group has just a few days ago started with its work. We have submitted our first input on that, and the objective of this correspondence group are, first of all, to define the scope, the boundaries, and the deliverables of the IMO strategy of maritime digitalization, to identify digital initiative across the committee to support maritime-related digital processes, and lastly, but not the least important, but rather the opposite, is to further develop the draft IMO strategy on that topic. So we are very much engaged into it. We think that we can contribute substantially, and that is what we are aiming to do. During that session, there was also an IAX submission on that topic, which we agreed with. We were very much on the same line, but we had some additional inputs, some further comments to do. So we are having also bilateral talks with organization in order to say that we are there, that we also have our knowledge to share as new organization, but very much willing to cooperate and to contribute. Now, the MEPC 83, so the Marine Environment Protection Committee, probably the committee meeting that at least in the first half of this year was the one that was the most scrutinized, the one that we all waited a lot. I can start by saying that has been also the most crowded session ever. So far, it was really full house. It was difficult even to find a seat in the plenary room. And again, one of our tasks during this committee, but also in, let's say, I would say in this first half of the year or in this year, is really to build this the strong alliances, a strong link of cooperation with organization, because as I said before, we want to cooperate, not to compete, and we are really there to extend our hand and our knowledge with everyone. So when it comes to the mid-term measures, the MEPC 83 marked an important advancement in the global maritime decarbonization agenda. Central to this session was the approval of a comprehensive set of mid-term greenhouse gas reduction measures, the so-called IMO net zero framework. It is important to say that while the measure has been agreed, as you know, there has been a vote. The mid-term measures will undergo formal adoption at the extraordinary MEPC meeting that is foreseen in October this year. And following the adoptions, the measures are scheduled to enter into force not before the 1st of March 2027. As I said just a moment before, it was quite a contested, I would say, also moment at IMO in plenary, as there have been a block or a part of flag states that were not fully supporting the measures. Another part that describe the measures and not fully ambitious, but anyway, there has been a progress, a step forward in that direction. Although, as you might have read or heard, also environmental organization had their say in it, saying that the measures were not really what they expected it to be. Anyway, member states endorsed a set of mid-term measures with the ultimate goal of achieving net zero emission by approximately 2050. In order to do so, a new Chapter 5 was approved for the inclusion in MARPOL Annex 6, which established the IMO net zero framework. And so the framework introduces two main elements. The first one is the greenhouse gas fuel intensity regulation, which mandates a progressive reduction in the GHG intensity of fuels used by ship, measured on a well-to-wake basis. And these measures will apply to all ships of 5,000 gross tonnage and above, while the second element is economic measures, and it foresees the implementation of a global emissions pricing mechanism through the establishment of the IMO Net Zero Fund. This means that ships or vessels exceeding JFI threshold will have to purchase remedial units to offset their excess emissions, while on the other side, those using low or zero emission technology can earn surplus units. There will be also two levels of GHG fuel intensity compliance, a base target and a more ambitious direct compliance target, which achievement, of course, as I have just said, will allow vessels to generate surplus unit. The last thing of the midterm measure, maybe to say that the fund that will be established, the IMO Net Zero Fund, will collect contribution from the emission pricing system as explained, and the collected funds will be used to incentivize low emission vessels, to promote research, innovation, finance training, but also to offset adverse effect on vulnerable nations. Of course, it is a topic that is quite important for the whole industry. It is important also for our members, evidently, but we will be able only after the final adoption to really analyze the impact that it have for us and what this will then at the very end also mean. Among the other things that happened, or the most important outcome at the MEPC 83, for us there was also what we followed was the discussion and the updates on the underwater radiated noise, which compared to the meter measures were not controversial. And what we learned also from that there will be a second workshop on the relationship between energy efficiency and the underwater radiated noise that will take place in November this year, and that CIMAC with working group 22 on the new group on underwater radiated noise will for sure participate. Then just to go briefly over what may be described as other important outcomes. So the MEPC 83 approved the designation of the Northeast Atlantic Ocean as an emission control area, so focused on the reduction of sulfur oxide. Then an agreement was reached to develop a legally binding framework for the control of management of ships biofouling. Furthermore, the 2025 action plan to address marine plastic litter from ship was approved. There was also an agreement to revise the ballast water management convention, and maybe lastly to say that the IMO approved also work plan to develop a regulatory framework for onboard carbon capture and storage systems. So those have been the activities in the committees that we have already attended, that we have already, let's say, undertaken. And now what is left from now until let's say until the summer break, it's the one of the main committee meeting, the Maritime Safety Committee, the MSC 110. That will take place in June. It's going to be, we expect it also to be a busy committee meeting, an important one, especially for us. We are now in the process of preparing the meeting, seeing what will be the documents that have been submitting, to see if there is something particularly relevant that we need to react upon in plenary. We have already seen that there will be a discussion under agenda item 5 of on the maritime autonomous surface ship, the MAS. We want to see what are development on the MAS code, as it is a topic that is of particular importance for us, and especially for our digitalization strategy group. But there will be for sure other topics like the goal-based new ship construction standards that we will be following and then report back to you. But why this committee is of, I would say, of a special relevance to us, to CIMAC, is because we will have the opportunity to present CIMAC to all the delegation, to the whole of the IMO. On Friday, June the 20th, we will have a CIMAC presentation in the main hall immediately after the morning plenary session. Starting from 12:40, we will be presenting. We will do an introduction to CIMAC, who we are, what we bring to the table, why we are there, how we want to contribute, how we want to shape the maritime regulation at the IMO. We will be presenting our strategy and the working groups. What I mentioned before, the position paper prepared by our digitalization strategy group on a ship-wide data ecosystem will be also presented, and of course our overall vision and mission statement. Our president Rick Boom will join, and also other CIMAC representatives. So the presentation will be followed by a reception. We will be giving a luncheon after the presentation in the delegates lounge at around 1:10. We should already be ready to start. So if you are in London, if you're at the IMO, please feel free to join us both for the presentation and afterwards, obviously, also for the reception. Now, coming slowly to an end of my presentation, this is a little bit, I wanted to give you an overview of the topics we are following at the moment at the IMO, or the ones that we are mostly focused on, and the interaction or the relation between IMO committees and CIMAC working groups and strategy groups. Giving our current capacities, taking into account our knowledge, our expertise, and also what we've seen on the other side, that the IMO needs further or additional inputs, and that where we have seen that we can contribute. This is for sure the topics of underwater radiated noise. I have already talked extensively. detailing guidelines for alternative fuels and new technology, the non-shaft line propulsion, which was the topic of single electric propulsion motors prepared in strict collaboration with our working group 21, digitalization, and of course the mass code. Have you seen those topics are spread not only in one committee or subcommittee, but it's for example like digitalization of the mass code. It's really spread. It's something that is popping up in basically all committees, and also on our end we are not focusing on those topics necessarily only within one working group, but there are several working groups or strategy groups that are involved in the work of the IMO. Of course, there is also different involvement of internal structures of CIMAC towards the IMO. There are certain working groups that act within correspondence group that has been established, other that might join future correspondence group. There are working groups that, like working group 21, that have had its say in plenary session. So the degree of our interaction, internal interaction toward the IMO varies. We want to intensify it. We see that our members are keen to do so, have the knowledge and the will. So we are really expecting also a further expansion in our activities at IMO. And lastly, I want to conclude my presentation with that last slide, which regards our CIMAC's IMO delegation, that we call it like that for the moment. It's we are building up, so we are still in the process of finalizing a representative body. We still are looking also for the right and final name. It could be something working group regulatory affairs. So it's basically a group, a governance group to streamline and have our work at the IMO be done in a more efficient and effective way, to have a more straightforward approach when taking decision, when needed to react fast during plenary, during committee meetings. So what we wanted to do is, of course, to have a selection and a well-represented working groups, strategy groups, with people that have long experience in CIMAC. On the other side, also with people that have quite an extensive knowledge of IMO topics and procedure. And as I said, it is something that is still ongoing, but we are on, I think, on a very good track, and we are very much looking forward to intensify our activities. And as has been already highlighted before, you are all free, of course, to come to us if you have a suggestion, if you have a proposal. We are always very much open to suggestions and to different opinion how to approach our work at IMO. I will conclude here, and I thank you all for your attention, and I'm giving the floor back to Daniel.
Yes, thank you very much, Leo, for this extensive introduction to all our activities. We've now come to the end of the presentation mode of our town hall here today. For your reference, I would like to introduce you all those QR codes and websites where you can find further information about CIMAC itself, and also about the CIMAC Congress in the right top QR code and website address, where you can find further information on the Congress, which I introduced in the beginning of the town hall. I'll leave that slide standing here, and I would now open the floor for all questions and comments you from the audience want to give. I believe we can now conclude the first town hall of CIMAC. Thank you all for participating and listening, to our presentation here, and also thanks to Leo, Ero, and Rick to participating actively and supporting this event. We said in the beginning, this is the first town hall. Our plan is to continue the format of hosting town halls in the future. We will be linking those town halls to the major committee meetings. So this is the first town hall was just happening after the MEPC plus after Easter break. So the next major committee meeting is seen as the MSC 110 in June. And then shortly after the MSC committee meeting, we will be holding the next town hall in the same format and probably a bit shorter, as we gave the whole speech from beginning of when we got the access granted in July last year until today, more or less. So for the next one, we will be having a shorter town hall introducing the developments at the MSC and other activities like the GIA e-learning and correspondence group. So everywhere we are going to make progress and contributing to the IMO works, we will be reporting in those town hall meetings. All of you will be receiving the invitation to the next town hall in a similar way as you received it for today's event. And if you want to stay up to date with all the information coming from CIMAC, you see the links here, and including the right lower QR code is leading you to the newsletter. So if you're not following us on LinkedIn, you can also follow us on LinkedIn in the CIMAC account. But if you also register for the newsletter, you will also be receiving the latest information about all our activities, including invitation to the town hall event. For that, I thank you all once again for participating and wish you a wonderful afternoon or morning wherever you are in the world, and hopefully see the most of you next week in Zurich. Thank you and bye-bye.
Thank you. Goodbye.